Hey folks, good afternoon and welcome back to the channel. Happy Catty Crypto here, and this is going to be a bit of a more extended video. We're just going to be specifically looking at Bitcoin, what Bitcoin's doing, and what everybody else thinks Bitcoin's doing, and what's happened previously throughout time, and what people are saying now, and the comparisons people are making. It's very interesting. The reason why we're so interested in Bitcoin as a community is just because of a simple fact: it drives the crypto market. It really is the engine to the machine that we're all involved in. And when this machine decides to itself, I want to go for it. I want to run, and I want to keep running, and I want to set a new all-time high. We've seen this happen many times before. Everybody knows the bull runs are real. They happen. This is a real thing. Don't need to sit there and think to yourself, it's a dream, it's never going to happen. It does happen. It really just happens at the most peculiarest of times, and certain things can be slingshot moments for BTC. And one of those slingshot moments is Bitcoin halving. If Bitcoin halving lands around the right time, this could be absolutely insane. So we're starting off on the Fear and Greed Index, and as you can see, we're sitting up at 68 now on greed. When this scale goes into euphoric, you'll know about it, because things just start screaming upwards. I think during the last bull run, more or less everything run apart from a few different coins, and these coins were ones, for example, like XRP. It just didn't run because it was in a court case. It's still in that court case now, and we're going to be talking about that court case specifically in another video, and touching up on proof of stake coins, the situation surrounding it, and what the future holds for that situation. But this is really good. We've got our next update in 9 hours 31 minutes. Really looking forward to see if it goes up, see if it goes down. So if we head over to this article here, and you can see Bitcoin outflows jump at CoinShares despite the rally. And they're pretty much just saying that the price is surging. Things are looking really, really, really good. And despite the current situations and all of the different things people are saying, the outflows, the inflow, everything seems to be pointing at this idea that lots of more smaller wallets with little to nothing in them are getting involved in BTC. And this is what we want to see, because as that Fear and Greed Index spikes, especially at a 16-month high, it's very important for us to start to pay attention to what BTC is going to do, because it's just going to keep taking us upwards with it. But there's one thing that worries me currently, especially with the news that came out from Edward Kim about a new sidechain being created, being brought forward, and all these really good things, but also followed up by a very, very specific set of words, which is this could all fail pretty much, but we're going to give it a go either way. So it's really interesting, because the reason why is I don't want Lunar Classic to be in a position where it's like XRP and it just doesn't run because there's just not enough interest in it, and people are trying to avoid it and thinking, you know, let's not get involved with that.
Calm down.
This whole greed among investors is everything. This is what drives the market. When people start to think, you know, I can't miss out on this, I have to buy in now. And a lot of the time people buy in when it's far too late, and they'll get in, you know, halfway through these really kind of decent runs. This is all really interesting. So what I'm finding most interesting right now in the Bitcoin community is how they're following the Bitcoin price and comparing it to the 1970s gold situation and everything that went on around that. Now, gold has always stayed at what is seen as a very, very steady price. It holds its value very well. Everybody knows that. And if you know about the whole 1970s fractal situation, then you know what I'm going on about. I've done a little bit of research into it. I've had a look. There's not a huge amount of information out there on it, believe it or not, but you can find some small pieces, some small articles of them saying it's starting to follow, Bitcoin is starting to follow the same price pattern as the 1970s gold rush. And this was huge. And we spoke yesterday about how people go and look for gold during these times of inflation, uncertainty, everything going up. and it just not being a very good situation for people as a whole. Now, there was a point during one of these crashes where gold stocks were worth more than gold itself, and then another time gold was worth more than gold stocks. What they're thinking and what a lot of people are speaking about at the moment is that Bitcoin is simply following a very similar price pattern to gold during that time. This is good because history repeats itself, and you know, we know this time and time again. We've now looked at the history and we now understand that people do look to put into precious metals and anything that holds intrinsic value, any kind of pieces of, you know, there's so many things you can put your money into as a hedge against inflation, right? I don't think it's not rocket science for, you know, the everyday crypto investor to actually take a step back and think to themselves, well, crypto's never been about during these times of uncertainty and doubt.
So you do have a plan? Yeah, Mr. White. Yes, science.
We've been through a couple of these little financial scares, but when the banking sector is seriously, so you've got SVB, you've got First Republic, and you've got Swiss Bank. Imagine how many smaller banks work underneath those banks. How many other bigger banks may have relied on those smaller banks for certain things, and everything in that sector it's all interlinked. And when you start to break those links down, the machine starts to more or less grind to a halt. The biggest difference is now compared to when these kind of financial situations happened back, you know, prior to the internet, is there was no internet. You couldn't contact someone on the other side of the globe, or, you know, north of the country, or the world is a completely different place now compared to what it was. And with everything that's going, you know, metaverses and people specifically targeting metaverses and looking into that, Decentraland and all of these different places, is really looking positive from where I'm sitting. If we look at what does the everyday person do, well, they play games consoles in their spare time. A lot of people are getting into virtual reality because it's becoming more and more complicated to get out of the house, get to play. A lot of people live, you know, in apartment blocks. They don't have gardens, and, you know, a lot of people are looking for escape. So I believe metaverses have a huge role to play in the future. But this whole explosive gold fractal could be a game changer. The fact that BTC's following that same price, it could see the exact same situation that gold saw back then, because it's easy for someone to put a video up and say, you know, well, you know, it's just gonna do this because of the 1970s gold fractal. But what this is actually pointing at is the simple fact that people are going to be, instead of looking to go into gold, it seems like they're looking to go into BTC. And this is what we want. It's going to drive the market. When people start to make money from Bitcoin, they start to get involved in other stuff, and more people dipping their toe in the crypto world is exactly what we need as crypto holders across the board, but especially for LUNC, because like I've been saying, this drives everything. If this crashes, we're going to crash. If this explodes, we're going to explode.
Everybody panic! Oh my God!
As long as we're doing the right things, and as long as we're playing ball and moving along the track as you should be. So going over to TradingView, I know, right? I've got BTC and the LUNC chart up, and you can kind of see how things are going right now and how similar the patterns are just across the board at the moment. And everything just seems to be hanging on and seeing what BTC is going to do. It's BTC dominance. It's always going to be there. It's always going to dominate over us. And I feel like this is why it's high time we started really looking into it, what it's doing, where it's going. So I think, you know, I've seen some crazy kind of like people saying where it's going to go, how it's going to get there and stuff. But I'm thinking this is going to be a slow and steady kind of movement where we go up in stages, and it's just really strong support each time. The shorters, they don't know what to do, and everybody's just kind of riding this wave together as it all goes up. If we see more banks collapse, this is going to be good news for us in crypto, because at the end of the day, you can take your, you know, unless you're part of some strange exchange, you can take your crypto out at any point. You can move it to wherever you want at any time, minus a fee. No one has control of it. No one can tell you you're not allowed to withdraw that and send it to somewhere else. It doesn't work like that. I mean, unless you're on an exchange, like I said, which is a silly exchange where you don't actually own your crypto, which you should look to get out of. But like I was saying, BTC is looking really healthy. The inflow and the outflow, the inflow completely outweighs the outflow. And like I was saying, you're seeing more and more and more of these small wallets with very little holdings in moving upwards, because what you're going to see with this everyday kind of average Joe or Betty user, you're going to see them get into these kind of, if you was to go out into the street and say to someone, do you know what crypto is? And they would respond to you, well, yes, but I don't have any. And then they would go and buy some. What are they going to buy? Well, they're probably going to buy BTC, Ethereum, Litecoin, the ones that are heavily propagated, heavily in place, and heavily spoken about. And even SHIB, you know, SHIB's one of those kind of, everybody knows what SHIB is in crypto, and that's a good thing to be, because when it comes down to these everyday average users, they're not thinking like ourselves who have been in the game for so long. They're literally just going to download the first app they see, which is likely going to be crypto.com, because if you type crypto into Google, you're going to get crypto.com come back up. And this is always something I've thought about, and where this is all leading is mass adoption from everybody having some kind of holdings in crypto and then it running. The biggest issue is a lot of these people that will get involved, they will buy in, will just ride it up during the bull run, not understand that this is a bull run and you need to sell. They'll lose their money, they'll sell, they'll lose even more money, and they'll be very unhappy. And this is what we don't want to happen. This is why we need to educate people. And this is why I always say to people when something starts to run, ensure you've secured profits, ensure you've secured your main investment, because then you don't come away with this sour feeling at the end of everything. You don't feel like junk when you see the coin dropping and everything else dropping and you didn't take profits. At least
Calm down.
then what you're looking at is sheer profit, and you don't mind to yourself because it's profit. And I've always spoken about, you know, having a very small pot to play with to try and understand how the market works, because you're never going to be able to make it work for you. No matter how much you scream, you shout, you throw your tantrums, you have mood swings, it's never going to change those prices based on what you did.
Everybody panic! Oh my God!
You don't have any control over that. All you can do is be as smart as you can, as calm as you can, and make those trades wherever you can. So realistically, this just being a specific Bitcoin video, I'm really, really optimistic for the future of cryptocurrency just because of this financial crash that's going on externally. It wasn't too long that SVB said crypto's a bubble. Crypto's a bubble and it's going to burst. And now look whose bubbles burst. Gonna leave it on that. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comment section. If you know about the 1970s gold fractal, let me know. Let me know what you're thinking. Do you hold some Bitcoin? Because I'm going to be honest here, I don't hold any Bitcoin whatsoever. I think the only time I use Bitcoin is to top up the node that we run to keep that all running, because they actually accept Bitcoin, which is great. Folks, have a really nice day. Stay safe. Beware of scammers. Beware of doppelgangers. Beware of anybody pretending to be me. And I'll catch you in the next one.